This is station 94.7 FM, still breathing through backup. The air's thick with moisture in here, and I can't tell if that humming is the generator or the bones in my jaw vibrating from the thunder. Either way, I'm still alive. Griffin Shaw on the mic. And if you're hearing me, it means we're both still somewhere that isn't underwater yet. Drop a comment. Tell me where you're listening from and what time it is for you. Witsing on 9:42 p.m. Thursday. But that doesn't mean a whole lot anymore. Days are starting to bleed into each other. Hours feel like they're being chewed up and spit out by this storm. I haven't seen a break in the rain in, 6 days? 7? It's hard to tell. I tried marking the days on the glass with a Sharpie, but the windows are sweating too much, just smeared into black tears. I'm broadcasting from what used to be the Community Arts Building here in Merrow Falls, up in southern Wisconsin. 3rd floor. Windows duct-taped and tarped. Power grid's been out since Monday morning. Completely dead. We've got this old diesel generator and a makeshift antenna running through what's left of the town's ham rig. Nothing elegant, but it's enough to send this signal as far as Racine if the sky cooperates. I'm saying all this up front for anyone stumbling across this station by accident. You're not hallucinating. This isn't a prank. I'm real. This broadcast is real. And if you're still tuning in, still alive, still dry, I'd like to hear from you eventually. No pressure. Just maybe write something. Record it. Throw a bottle with a note if you have to. There's something unbearable about silence after so much noise. You know what I miss? Wind. Not this lashing, angry kind we've got now, but that soft spring wind. The kind that makes trees whisper like they're trading secrets. All we get now is roaring. And the water. Jesus, the water. It doesn't fall anymore. It slams. It hammers rooftops, floods the gutters, pounds the streets until pavement gives way like wet paper. The sirens haven't gone off in 2 days, either because the last responders ran out of gas, or because they finally gave up trying to tell people to evacuate. There's nowhere to go. Every highway out of town is underwater or collapsed. I saw a Subaru half submerged on 71. Looked like it had tried to drive across a bridge that wasn't there anymore. No people inside, just floating fast food wrappers and a child's rain boot. It wasn't always like this. We all know that. But if I had to trace it, put a pin in the timeline, it started last month. I mean, we've always had weird springs. Late snow, sudden heat waves. But this was different. The rain came and didn't stop. The rivers rose and didn't crest. We thought it would pass, like it always does, like a bad mood. But it didn't. They were calling it a stalled atmospheric river. Something about a jet stream locking in place. I'm no meteorologist, but I remember a guy named Rick Sampson, old Navy radar tech, retired here years ago. He called in on the 2nd day of the storm, told me the pressure maps didn't make sense, said the system looked engineered, not natural, like someone pressed pause on a hurricane. He hasn't called back since. There are rumors. Always are. Military experiments. Geoengineering gone wrong. Some people blame China. Some people blame God. I don't know what I believe. But I do know that this storm, whatever it isn't acting like anything we've seen before, and nobody from the big networks is talking. NPR went dark on Monday. Cable news ran reruns of election debates until the screens froze. Then static. Then nothing. I keep checking the NOAA frequencies. It's all garbled. Half sentences. Broken data. One time I caught a fragment. Rainfall estimates exceed, and then it cut. No units, no location, just dread. We had a food drive here 2 nights ago. 20 people showed up, soaked to the bone. We pooled what we had: canned beans, powdered milk, water jugs. Someone brought a hand-crank flashlight, and I swear it was like passing around fire in the Stone Age. Grown men crying over batteries. The rain hasn't just flooded roads. It's breaking us down. Roofs are caving. Basements filled. Molds creeping up the walls. I saw a woman walking down Center Street barefoot in knee-high water, cradling a cat in a trash bag like a swaddled infant. That's where we are now. Drenched, desperate, and just trying to hold on to whatever matters. Let me tell you something honest. I'm scared. I try not to show it. I try to sound steady, but I haven't slept right in days. I wake up every 20 minutes thinking I hear the water inside the walls. Sometimes I do. Sometimes it's just the sound of my own blood rushing in my ears. I think about leaving, about walking out and trying to find higher ground. But where would I go? Even if I got 5 miles out, there's no guarantee the roads would still exist. And besides, this signal, it might be the last voice some people hear. I can't abandon that. All right, I've got an update from the eastern edge. A man named Terry, lives near Janesville, managed to get through earlier on the shortwave. Said they lost their radio tower but patched something together with copper wire and a weather balloon. He reported landslides east of town, whole hills giving way like wet sand. One took out a veterinary clinic. They barely got the animals out in time. He said he hasn't seen stars in a week. Said the clouds pulse like there's something behind them, like backlit cotton. I'll take calls later if I can stabilize the line. For now, just breathe. If you're somewhere dry, stay there. If you're near a hill, get higher. And if you've got a signal, record your story. We need each other now more than ever. And not in some vague philosophical way. I mean it literally. We need voices, signals, coordination. Because if the rain doesn't drown us, the silence will. This is Griffin Shaw, station 94.7 FM, signing off for now. I'll be back when I can. Stay alive. It's 4:11 in the morning. I haven't slept. Not really. The roof's been moaning like an old man with bad lungs, and the rain hasn't let up once. I keep thinking maybe there'll be a break, a little lull, enough time to step outside, take a breath, look up at the sky, and maybe see something besides black clouds. But no. Just more water. The streets below the station look different than they did last night. That sedan on the corner? The one with the bumper sticker that says, "My kid made honor roll"? It's gone now. Either floated off or sunk beneath the floodwater. In its place, a shopping cart full of soaked sleeping bags and 2 chairs just bobbing there like they belong to some underwater dining set. There's a plastic tricycle hanging off the railing of the old pharmacy. Don't know how it got up there. Maybe it floated. Maybe someone tried to use it as a raft. I keep wondering if the kid who used to ride it is still around. And if they are, I hope to hell they're dry. You ever notice how loud it gets when there's no power? Not from machines, from the air, from your own body. The building creaks like it's breathing. My heart beats louder than it should be. My stomach sounds like thunder. It's like the whole world got unplugged and now we're stuck hearing what's always been underneath. Earlier, the generator hiccuped. Gave me a full 5 seconds of pure silence. I thought I was going to throw up. I don't know what happens if that thing fails. I mean, I know technically. The signal dies. The broadcast ends. But I mean for me. What happens to me when I can't talk to anyone anymore? I think I've built my sanity around this microphone. There's a man I keep thinking about. Name's Chris. I knew him before all this. He ran the gas station just off the 14. Quiet guy, big hands, always smelled like WD-40. Last week, he stopped by during one of the few dry hours we had. He was wearing a trash bag poncho and carrying 3 red gas cans. Said he was headed north. Didn't say why. Didn't ask if I wanted to come. Just nodded at the station like he was saluting a grave and left. I think about whether he made it. Whether the water caught up to him. Whether he found anything besides more rain. We've been getting weird pulses on the shortwave bands. I caught one last night at 3:02 a.m. exactly. It was like a slow clicking, 12 beats in a row, then a pause, then again. Over and over. No voice, no call sign, nothing to trace. I recorded it, played it back. Same pattern. I don't know if it's some old system rebooting, or if someone's trying to reach out. But it was structured. It felt like code. Morse? Maybe. I've been rusty on that since the Scouts. If you're the one sending those clicks, I hear you. I don't know what you're trying to say, but I hear you. Water levels rose another 4 inches overnight. That's according to James, who's been tracking it with chalk marks outside the public library. He left a note under my door. Said the fountain out front has vanished. Not just flooded, he wrote. Gone. Like the ground swallowed it. Weird thing is, the rain's warm now. Warmer than the air. It's like standing under someone else's shower. Almost comforting, if you don't think too hard about it. But I do. I think about it all the time. About what's feeding the storm. What's keeping it alive when every natural law says it should have broken apart days ago. Here's what I know. This is no ordinary weather system. It's locked in place like it's been nailed to the continent. Storm trackers stopped trying to model it 3 days ago. They can't make the data work. The patterns are wrong. Wind directions contradict each other. Pressure zones don't match elevation. A buddy of mine who used to work at NOAA, retired now, lives out near Des Moines. He emailed me the day the storm hit. Subject line, "This isn't right." The message just said, "They knew. Months ago. Check the readings from March 12th. But I can't check them. The servers are gone. The data's offline. There's no more checking. Just memory and scraps. That's all we've got." I keep hearing people use the word unnatural to describe this, but I don't think that's even close. Unnatural implies interference. I think this storm is something worse. Something ignored for too long. Something we all felt building behind the curtain and chose not to pull it back. You want to know what broke me today? It wasn't the rain. Wasn't the cold or the isolation or even the static on the line. It was the sound of children laughing. I heard it through the wall, just barely. There's an old apartment across the alley, 2nd floor. 3 windows boarded up, 1 left cracked open, and through that crack I heard giggles. Real ones, not panicked, not scared, just laughter. And for a second I thought maybe it was a recording, a TV left running, but it kept going, and it got louder. They were playing a board game by candlelight. 4 kids, I think. Maybe a parent in the back. I couldn't see much, but I could see the candlelight flicker and their silhouettes leaning in. And I just stood there with my hand on the glass, like some lonely ghost, watching people who remembered how to be human. It broke me, in the best possible way. There's still light. There's still warmth. It's small, fragile, but it's there. All right, if anyone out there is still keeping logs, here's what I've gathered from inbound messages and personal notes. Flooding has overtaken most of Route 11 from Jefferson to New Lisbon. The overpass near Oak Ridge Mall is gone. Avoid that route. Cattle from 3 separate farms were spotted loose on the edge of Rock County. If you're armed and know how to manage livestock, they might be the difference between starvation and survival for your group. Some people have been using old crank-based weather radios to pick up localized updates. If yours has a hand crank, treat it like gold. Battery power is more valuable than money now. That's not philosophy, that's reality. If you have a solar setup, even a small panel, plug it in whenever the clouds lighten. Even 5 minutes of reduced cloud density might be enough to recharge a radio or flashlight. People have reported brief thinnings in cloud cover during late mornings between 10 and 11 a.m. And if anyone still has access to books on water filtration, first aid, mechanics, read them, share them, tear out the pages and pass them around if you have to. This storm doesn't care how smart you were in school. It only cares how fast you adapt. I'll be back again around dawn. Maybe earlier if the signal holds. Until then, find each other. Light a candle. Laugh if you can. Cry if you need to. Just don't go quiet. Don't let this storm turn us all to ghosts. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM. Still here. Still human. I'm back. It's just past noon now. I waited for the rain to ease up before trying to power the transmitter again. Didn't matter. The rain never eased. It just shifted, changed shape. It's not falling now so much as it's drifting sideways, like it's confused about which direction gravity's supposed to go. That can't be right, I know. But I swear to you, when I opened the window a crack, it blew in at a 90-degree angle, soaked half the floor before I could shut it again. I moved my bedding to the opposite wall. Damp again. I think my socks have been wet for 4 straight days. I keep rotating them out, laying them near the generator's exhaust pipe for warmth, but it's no use. It's in the air now, in my bones. The walls are sweating. I didn't even know drywall could do that. There's something heavy about the humidity now, like it's picked up weight. It smells electric, like burnt copper and rot, like wires that got too hot and gave up. Maybe the building's dying. Maybe everything is. I've got an update. There's been no new broadcasts from Minneapolis since last night. I've had my dial parked on 101.9, waiting for their emergency updates. But it's just static now. They were the last official weather station north of here, still reporting, still sending emergency forecasts. Yesterday, they played a recorded loop, warning people to stay off Highway 35. Something about mudslides and sinkholes opening up near the riverbanks. But that message has stopped too. Now it's just white noise. I know what that means. You do too. The station's probably down. Could be power, could be evacuation, could be worse. But when the towers fall silent, the cities go dark. That's the pattern now. Still nothing from FEMA. No new text relays. No updated contingency zones. The last FEMA contact came through a week ago, somewhere out of Missouri. I don't know if it was legitimate or just some bored signal operator bouncing ghost pings off the ionosphere, trying to pretend someone was still listening. The president hasn't spoken in 8 days. The White House site is down. And not just down, scrubbed, like someone wiped it clean. Try loading it, and you get a 404 with no branding, no headers, nothing. Just empty. There was a brief television feed out of Toronto that made its way online yesterday morning. Looked like a bootleg satellite capture. Probably an old satellite someone repurposed. It showed downtown under full lockdown, military trucks lining Queen Street, helicopters hovering above empty intersections, And people, just a few, running through the rain with what looked like battery packs strapped to their backs. I watched it 6 times. It looped. I stared at it for over an hour. I kept thinking, maybe I'd see someone I know. I didn't. But one of the trucks had markings. Not Canadian, not American either. It was white, all white, with no flag, just a number. 07-14, no license plate. I paused it, zoomed, tried to read what was scrawled on the windshield. Looked like tape or marker. Just one word. Return. Return to what? I don't know if anyone else saw that broadcast. It was only up for an hour before it got pulled, or maybe the server just failed. Either way, it's gone now. If you saw it and you recorded it, let me know. We've got to start building an archive. If nothing else, for whoever comes after us, if anyone does. I got a call earlier. Landline, not radio. That surprised me. Didn't even know the phone was still working. It was faint, full of static, but I heard her voice. Her name's Elena. She's holed up in a school just outside of Freeport, Illinois. Said they've converted the gym into a shelter. Told me they're taking in families, setting up water catch systems off the roof, using old propane tanks for heat. She sounded tired, not just sleepy, worn, like a candle that's been burning too long and is starting to melt sideways. She said they buried 3 people yesterday. Died of exposure, even indoors. She said one of them was a man who used to be a plumber. Spent his last 2 days teaching a teenager how to keep the sewage from backing up through the gym showers. She said he had a note in his pocket when he died. Said, "I didn't survive this long to be useless." That stuck with me. I told her I'd mention them on the air, that I'd say his name if she gave it. She didn't. She said he wouldn't have wanted that, just wanted the job done. So to the man in Freeport, the one who kept the sewage out of the showers, you are not useless. There are hundreds of people like him, people I'll never meet, people who are doing what they can, where they are, with what they have. It's not glorious, it's not newsworthy, but it's real. And it's what's holding this continent together right now, because the governments aren't. I heard from someone near Detroit who says the city's on self-governance now. Local police are gone, hospitals are locked. People have started forming neighborhoods into clans. They share food, block off streets, even take turns keeping watch from rooftops. One man named Rashid wrote in, said they're using fireworks to signal between blocks. Red for food, blue for danger, green for open routes. It's chaotic, but it's working, for now. I hope it holds. I really do. If anyone out there knows how to safely dry out canned food, yeah, apparently that's a thing now, please call in. Someone wrote asking if waterlogged labels mean contamination. I don't know the answer, but I know someone does. And if you've got old farming manuals, seed packets, guides to fermentation, anything that helps make life possible without power, start sharing. Not just with me, with each other, with your kids, with your neighbors. This isn't just a storm anymore. It's a slow-motion reboot. And none of the smart stuff made it through the first firewall. This is our chance to remember what people knew before they forgot how to do everything without a screen. Last night, during a lull, I found an old transistor radio in the closet, covered in dust, battery compartment rusted out. Took me an hour to clean it, another 30 minutes to get the tuning right. But eventually, I caught something. It was weak. Just piano music. No voice, no call letters. Just this sad, patient melody, looping on what sounded like a scratched cassette. It made my throat hurt, hearing it. Like remembering someone you thought you forgot. Maybe that's someone else broadcasting too. Maybe I'm not alone. Maybe you're not either. If you can still write, pen and paper, write. Write down your name, where you are, who you're with. Tape it to a wall. Nail it to a tree. If someone finds it after, they'll know that you were here, that you lived through this, that it wasn't just some erasure. Because that's what this storm wants, I think. Not just to flood the land or drown the buildings. It wants to erase us. Take the memory of what we were and soak it until it fades like ink in rain. Don't let it. Even if you have to shout into an empty room, remember yourself out loud. I'll be back again tonight, if the generator holds. I'm going to try and solder a better link into the antenna relay. If I vanish, it's not because I gave up. It's because the storm finally found a way in. Until then, hold fast, stay awake, and if it's raining where you are, and I know it is, let the sound remind you that you're still here, still breathing, still a voice in the dark. Griffin Shaw, still on 94.7 FM. For now. It's me again. I didn't plan to broadcast this soon. The plan was to wait till nightfall, conserve fuel, maybe patch up the left side window where the tarps started to sag. But I couldn't wait. Something happened about an hour ago. I was sitting by the back stairwell, drinking the last of the powdered coffee I've been rationing. No sugar, no creamer, just bitter grit and heat. I heard something down below. Not thunder, not wind. A thud. And then, a voice. I went quiet, cut the generator, listened. There it was again. A woman, crying. I thought maybe I was hallucinating. That kind of thing happens. You spend too long alone, too long listening to the same rhythm of storm and silence. Your mind starts sewing shadows into shapes. But no, it wasn't in my head. She was real. She was calling out. I took the flashlight, made my way down the stairwell, slow, careful. The steps were slick with condensation and mildew. The whole stairwell stank like wet wood and rotting carpet. Third floor, empty. Second floor, still barricaded from when I tried to make it a sleeping area. First floor, lobby level, flooded. Not deep, maybe ankle high, but the tiles had buckled and something oily swirled on the surface. And then I saw her. She was standing just inside the vestibule, one arm cradling a bundle wrapped in what looked like a curtain. The other hand was banging on the inner glass door with her fist. She looked up and saw me, and she said, "Please." That was it. Just that one word. I let her in. Her name's Maya. She walked here from the north side. Said she's been moving through the city for 2 days, looking for signs of life. Found nothing but empty cars, half-looted stores, and water. So much water. She thought she saw light in one of the upper windows here, and took a chance. The bundle she was carrying? It's her son. 2 years old. His name's Eli. He's sleeping now. I cleared a space upstairs and gave them the driest blanket I had left. She hasn't said much since. Just sits beside him and watches the walls like they might crack open and pull her in. I'll keep them here as long as I can. It's strange, having someone else in the station. The air feels different, warmer, not better, just changed. I didn't realize how quiet I'd gotten, how internal, just drifting in my own head for hours at a time, talking to this microphone like it was the last heartbeat left in the world. And now, there's breath, footsteps, a baby's soft snore. I forgot how powerful it is just to hear another human breathe. All right, now for the updates. The Mississippi has broken 2 levees between Dubuque and Bellevue. Got confirmation from a man named Jordan, broadcasting from his pickup's shortwave just south of Maquoketa. He said entire neighborhoods are now ponds. Said you can hear fish flopping in the parking lots. Said his cousin's apartment building floated off its foundation and slid 2 blocks downhill before getting pinned between 2 maple trees. He also said people are starting to disappear. Not die, disappear. I asked him what he meant. He got real quiet. Then he said this: they go into the rain, and they don't come back out. I wanted to ask more, but his signal died. Not cut, not static, just gone. Disappearing. I don't like that word. We've already lost so much. People vanishing feels like something the storm would want. A storm with intention, one that doesn't just flood, it unravels. That same idea came up again in a note I got slipped under the door yesterday. No name, no return address. Just a single rain-warped index card with this handwritten in all caps. The storm isn't weather. The storm is memory loss. When you stop speaking, it takes you. I don't know who wrote that. Don't know if it's metaphor or madness. But I haven't thrown the card away. What if it's true? What if the rain erases more than homes? You think I sound crazy? Maybe I am. But I've heard enough now to start wondering. The patterns are wrong. The birds are gone. The insects are dead. No flies, no mosquitoes, no buzzing at night. Just silence and water. Constant, heavy, drowning silence. Except it's not just silence. Not really. You listen long enough, and you start to hear it. The low-frequency hum. I don't have the words for it. Not thunder. Not machines. It's deeper. Like the earth's exhaling through a crack it didn't know it had. I recorded it last night. I'll play it for you tomorrow. I want to compare it to a sample Maya said she heard back in March when this all started. She says it came from the sky. Not lightning. Not planes. Just this deep resonance, like a moan. We don't know what we're inside of yet, but it isn't natural. And it isn't over. Okay, survival notes. I've started jotting them between broadcasts. Things that might help, even if they're obvious. Because the mind stops holding things when you're in survival mode. You forget stuff you thought you'd never forget. Keep your batteries above waist level. Even if your place is dry now, you don't know what tomorrow's going to look like. Water creeps up when you sleep. Boil any rainwater you catch, even if it looks clean, especially if it looks clean. If you can, use steel wool and a 9-volt battery to start fire. Doesn't matter if your hands are wet, it'll still spark. But be careful. Do it away from fuel sources. Try to sleep in shifts if you're with a group. Trust is good. Backup is better. Write things down. Where you were, what you saw, who you were with. It might save someone's life if you're gone. And here's something important. Don't assume the worst about people. Desperation makes people strange, yes, but it also makes them generous. I've seen more acts of kindness in the last 6 days than I saw in the last 6 years. An old man giving away his last matches to a stranger. A kid pulling strangers under an awning just before a power line snapped overhead. A woman making soup out of pine needles and bouillon cubes and feeding 5 people who weren't her family. Don't lose that. Don't lose you. I'm going to try and make contact with the Hamnet Circle out west later today. They've been off and on. Last I heard, they were relaying updates from Salt Lake through a relay tower up in the hills. If I catch anything, I'll record and rebroadcast with permission. Right now, I need to check on the leak by the supply closet. the tarp, there's thinning, and I think some of my tools are starting to rust. But before I go, listen, I don't have much to offer. No rescue plan, no chopper, no map, just my voice. And I'll keep giving it until the static takes me. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM. Still here. Still me. It's 3:18 in the afternoon, or something close to it. The light outside hasn't changed in hours. That's another strange thing about this storm. There's no sun, no real day. The clouds are so thick it might as well be dusk all the time. Just a dark gray smudge from horizon to horizon, like someone painted over the sky and forgot to let it dry. Maya's upstairs with Eli. He's still sleeping. She finally talked to me this morning, really talked. Not just thanks and quiet glances. She told me how she ended up here, how she got separated from the rest of her family, how her brother tried to drive them out of the city once the rain got serious. Said they took the long route toward the highway. But the roads were jammed, people panicking, engines flooded. They ended up on foot, picking their way through shallow neighborhoods that were already chest-deep in water. They tried to head for a shelter near the high school, but the roof had collapsed, and the only people left were huddled under tents in the parking lot. No power, no food, just standing in the rain. They stayed one night. In the morning, her brother was gone. Just gone. She doesn't know if he left, got swept away, gave up, or something worse. She said she tried to follow the sound of a church bell later that night. Someone had been ringing it, probably as a signal. But the deeper she went, the quieter it got. Said the bell didn't fade. It cut out, like it hit a wall. And when she got closer, there was no church. Just a flooded intersection and the echoes of something she couldn't see. She stopped talking after that. I didn't press. I don't know how to describe it, but she has that same look I've seen in mirrors lately. Like her eyes are here, but her mind keeps touching places. It doesn't want to stay. She's alert. She's surviving. But some part of her is locked in that moment. Whatever it was, that pulled her brother away and left her walking through water with a toddler and no plan. I want to help her, but I don't know how. I've barely kept myself together. All I can do is give her shelter, heat, and whatever silence she needs. That's all we've got now, isn't it? The little things. A blanket, a dry patch of floor, a warm voice through the static. The rain just shifted again. I can hear it hammering against the north wall now. It's not random. It's rotating, like a cyclone that never moves. I'm trying not to panic, but part of me knows what that means. This isn't just a stalled front. It's something else, a fixed spiral, a wound that won't close. I used to live for storms. When I was a kid, I'd sit by the window during every summer thunderstorm, counting the seconds between lightning and thunder. I liked the rhythm of it, the logic. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then the boom. You knew how far away it was. You knew if it was getting closer. But this storm doesn't follow rules. There's no thunder you can track, no lightning you can measure. Just endless, aimless pressure, like the skies pressing down, trying to squeeze something out of the earth. People are starting to turn on each other. I've heard the stories. I've gotten the calls. Someone from Waukesha left a voicemail on my old community line. Didn't leave a name. Just said this. We tried to stay together, shared everything, made meals, even kept the kids inside. Then the food ran low. The batteries died. The lights never came back. And the people I trusted the most, my neighbors. They started locking doors, started hiding supplies, whispering to each other while I slept. Then there was a long pause, and she said, "I think I'm safer in the rain than in that house." And she hung up. I keep playing that message back, trying to understand what she meant, how it came to that. And I think it's not just about survival, it's about fear, the kind that creeps in through the cracks, makes you see shadows in every face. We're not meant to live like this, with no light, no rhythm, no end in sight. People start unraveling. First they get quiet, then they get suspicious, then they forget why they ever helped each other in the first place. We can't let that happen. I don't know who's listening anymore. Maybe you're out in a cabin somewhere with a hand crank radio. Maybe you're under a bridge, huddled with strangers, passing a battery back and forth like it's the last ember in a dying fire. Maybe you're in your car, parked on some stretch of road that doesn't exist on the map anymore. Wherever you are, don't forget your name. Don't forget the names of the people beside you. Say them out loud if you have to, like a spell, like a lighthouse. I'll start. Griffin Shaw, Marrow Falls, 94.7 FM. I used to run a music show here, Friday nights, local artists, indie folk. I still have some of the old records upstairs. The sleeves are warped from the humidity, but I keep them dry. One of them has a note on the back, scribbled in pen. Keep playing this when things get heavy. The record's called All the Light Left. It's just 6 songs, acoustic, slow, sad, but real. Real in that way only quiet music can be. If the generator holds, maybe I'll play a track tonight. Maybe we could use a little quiet. It's not all bad news today. I did get a call from a man named Hector. He's down near Springfield. Said his cousin's group managed to dig out a whole cellar behind an old hardware store. Dry space, shelving, even found a manual pump. They're turning it into a radio hub, pulling in scraps of equipment, trying to map out a new grid. Not digital, not smart, just reliable. Tubes and dials and wires. He said, "This storm can take the towers, but we'll just build lower." That gave me something. I don't know what exactly. Maybe the courage to keep this mic hot. Maybe the hope that this won't be the last voice on the air. One more thing. There's been talk, just whispers really, about something coming down from the north. Not weather, people, a caravan, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, moving together, southbound, no lights, no radios, just traveling on foot, wrapped in plastic and tarps and silence. No one knows where they're going, no one's sure if they're even real. But I've heard the story 3 times now, from 3 different places. One version says they're survivors from old research facilities. Another says they're part of some failed project. People who were exposed to something before the storm began. I don't know. I just know the rain hasn't stopped, and the static's getting louder. I need to go check the seal on the eastern window again. It's bowing inward, not from the wind, from pressure. I'll be back before dark if the signal's strong. Until then, stay warm, stay kind, and if the rain gets too loud, listen through it. You might hear someone else whispering back. This is Griffin Shaw, still here. It's night again, I think. The clock says 9:36, but it could be lying. I don't trust the numbers anymore. They keep blinking even though I replaced the batteries yesterday. There's a kind of desperation in a blinking clock, like it's still trying to convince you time means something. The rain is louder than it's ever been. Not just steady. Angry. I've got a trash can under the ceiling leak, and it's already half full. And that's with the tarp and the towels and the stack of books I used to wedge up against the wall. I don't even remember what the books were. Something about mid-century architecture. Doesn't matter. They're mulch now. Maya's asleep again. She barely eats. I gave her the last of the instant oats. She didn't thank me. Just nodded, like she's past words. She's been trying to keep Eli dry, but the poor kid's skin is starting to rash. Not from dirt or infection, just the moisture. Constant, clammy, lingering. Even our thoughts feel wet. I caught myself saying his name out loud just now. Eli. I don't know why. Maybe it's some instinct. Like if I say it enough, the walls will remember him if I don't make it. I don't know why that thought hit so hard. I'm not planning on dying. Not tonight. Not tomorrow. But I think we all carry that shadow now. It walks beside us, quietly. Waits until the generator sputters or the roof starts to sag, and then it whispers, maybe this is it. We ignore it. Until we can't. The roads are gone. I mean that literally now, not just flooded, gone. I got confirmation from 2 different sources this evening. One from La Crosse, one from Dubuque. Both said the same thing. Huge chunks of highway have collapsed into the soil. Entire overpasses twisted like wet cardboard. Trees ripped out, power poles gone, signs floating in the air like ghosts of a world that's still pretending to function. And here's something worse. The birds that used to circle when the rain first started, the ones nesting in the gaps under the eaves, they're gone too. I hadn't noticed until Maya asked me where the chirping went. I said maybe they'd just moved on, but the truth is I hadn't heard them in 3 days. The world is quieting, even inside the storm. I'm starting to think this isn't just an emergency, not just a disaster. It's a reset. Something is pressing backspace on everything we built. Got a report from someone in Minneapolis. Well, what's left of it? Name's Jason. He's a signal engineer. Or was. Said he patched into an old substation with a car battery and got limited access to a buried node. Said the system pinged back something. Wrong. Said the rain isn't just water. Said it's dense. Too dense. Like the molecules are off. He called it atmospheric thickening. Claimed it wasn't natural, that something is wrong with the chemical composition of the air itself. I asked if he thought it was weaponized. He said no. He said, I think the planet's coughing. His words, not mine. I told him I didn't understand. He said, it's like Earth is trying to spit us out. He hasn't responded since. The signal cut out 5 minutes after that call. I tried tracing it, bouncing through my low band, but there's nothing. I don't know if it was interference or if something found him. If anyone knows Jason, a signal tech, late 30s, maybe early 40s, sounds like he's smoked since birth, let me know. He knew what he was talking about. On a lighter note, and I use that word carefully, I managed to boil rainwater this morning. Actual rolling boil. Used a camping stove that someone left here last year during a volunteer weekend. Propane's almost out, but it worked. Cleaned the pot with lemon powder and salt, scrubbed it dry with part of my shirt. And for 15 minutes, I sat on the floor and drank hot water like it was the finest tea on earth. You forget how much you miss warmth, not heat. Not fire, just warmth. It tasted like metal and smoke and life. If you're listening and you've got a camp stove or any sealed fuel, conserve it. Boil when you can. Share with someone. Even if it's just for tea, there's something sacred about warmth now. Another signal just came in. Weak, maybe from Canada. Hard to make out. French, maybe? I'm not fluent, but I caught one word clearly. Coupure. That means blackout. Or maybe disconnection. Either way, it lines up. We're not getting help. Not from outside. Not from above. Whatever happened out there, whatever caused this, it's too late for answers. Now it's just stories and static. I want to tell you one more thing before I shut off the generator and save power. It's not big, but it matters. When I was a kid, maybe 7 or 8, we had a rainstorm that knocked out power for a whole weekend. My mom lit candles in jars. My dad cooked soup on the grill, and we all sat on the floor and listened to the wind. I was scared, terrified even. Thought the house might blow away. But my mom put her hand on my head and said, "Storms pass." That's what they do. They come, they tear, and then they leave. But this one hasn't left. And maybe it won't. So I've changed her words in my head. Now I say, storms don't pass. We do. Through them. Around them. Sometimes just barely. We pass. Not because we're strong, but because we have no other choice. We keep walking, keep talking, keep helping, keep living, even when the ground is soaked and the sky is cracked. Even when everything smells like rust and rot and rain. We pass through. So keep going. Even if it's just one foot in front of the other. Even if you're cold and hungry and soaked. Even if you're alone. Especially if you're alone. Because you're not really. Not while I'm still here. Not while this signal's still bouncing through the rain. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM. Still alive, still awake, still passing through. It's morning, I think. I'm not sure what day it is anymore. The paper calendar I was keeping upstairs got soaked last night. Wind pushed through the southern window frame, peeled the tarp back, and the rain got in. Again. Everything smells like mildew and engine grease, but the generator's still running. That counts for something. I managed to dry out 2 pages from my notebook by wrapping them in one of Maya's old shirts and laying them near the backup battery. It's not warm, exactly, but it's dry enough to fight off the mold. I've started writing down every little thing now. Times, temperatures, words I hear on the radio. Names. Especially names. Like the man who came by this morning. I didn't hear him until he knocked on the back door. He looked like a scarecrow. Thin, soaked through, shoes wrapped in plastic bags, carrying what I think used to be a military field radio in a beat-up backpack. The kind with big knobs and analog dials. Said his name was Caleb, or maybe Cale. Hard to tell with the wind screaming behind him. I let him in. I didn't even hesitate. I should have, maybe. But I didn't. He didn't ask for food, didn't ask for a bed. He just set the radio down, pulled the strap off his shoulder, and said, "We've been hearing you." From Eau Claire. Eau Claire, that's almost 200 miles away. He said they've got a group in an old municipal building, 15 people, mostly families. They've been scavenging solar panels, repurposing electric bus batteries, even built a hand-cranked repeater. Said they've been looking for stable voices. Said mine was the first that didn't loop or stutter or cut out halfway through a sentence. They called it the line, not the signal. the idea. A line of sound stretched between what's left, a lifeline, a tether. I didn't know what to say. I still don't. He didn't stay long, just wanted to pass on a list of names. I have it here. I'm going to read them, because if there's one thing we still have, it's the power to say who made it. Here we go. Samantha Triggs, age 9, loves card tricks. Gloria Patel, 71st, former nurse, has been running first aid for the shelter. Derek Liu, age 42, mechanic, can rebuild a carburetor blindfolded. Angela and Luis Serrano, couple, mid-30s, took in 2 orphans they found on the outskirts. Caroline Wu, amateur ham operator, she's been rebuilding their antenna system. Joseph Rames, 16, helps run security watches at night. Apparently can hear the rain pitch shift before the wind changes. And then Caleb, or Kale, at the end. Just a guy who walks. I'm going to keep their names safe. I'm going to speak them again every night this week. Because memory is resistance. Against this storm. Against silence. Against the unraveling. We're not dead yet. And as long as we say our names, we're still real. All right, I've got 2 more messages to share. One came in from northern Illinois, near Rockford. A woman named Imani called through on a low-watt ham rig. Her signal was full of static, but I caught most of what she said. Her group tried to build a raft 2 days ago. Not to escape, just to check on another apartment building across the street. Said the ground there was unstable, and they saw smoke. They made it over. The building had collapsed inward. But inside, on the 2nd floor, they found a woman alive, trapped under a metal beam. She'd been rationing rainwater that leaked through a crack in the ceiling, catching it in a cracked salad bowl. Her name is Nadine. She couldn't walk, but she smiled when they pulled her out. Imani said she asked if it was still raining. When they said yes, she laughed. Just laughed. That's all she wanted to know. The second message was darker. It came from the west side, somewhere in Iowa, I think. No name, just a man breathing hard. He sounded out of breath, panicked. He said, "They came at night." From the highway, no lights, just walking, faces covered in plastic. Didn't speak, didn't stop, just walked through us like we weren't even there. Then he whispered something. I had to replay it 10 times to catch it. He said, "They don't blink." Then he screamed, and the signal died. I don't know what to make of that. Could be fear, could be exhaustion, could be real. I just know I felt something move through me when I heard his voice, like the kind of cold you don't get from weather. I checked my doors twice after that, and I haven't taken my boots off since. You know what's strange? The storm isn't letting up. We all know that. But it changes. Subtle things. The rain is heavier in the afternoons now. The thunder starts just after midnight. The wind hums in different keys depending on what part of town you're in. Some of us have started tracking it. I've started calling it the pattern. It's like the storm breathes, expands and contracts, learns. Don't ask me what I think that means. I don't know. But if this is a system, natural or not, it's not random. It's a rhythm. And if it has a rhythm, maybe we can learn it, predict it, use it. I'll try to log more of it this week. If you're doing the same, send what you've got, no matter how small. Even raindrops have fingerprints. All right, I need to rest. Maya's watching the upper level tonight. I gave her my flashlight and told her to wake me if anything shifts. Before I go, I just want to say this. If you're cold, If you're wet, if your roof is leaking and your food is low and the silence is crawling into your head, you are not forgotten. Your voice matters. Your breath matters, even if no one else is around to hear it. Keep speaking, keep naming, keep being. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM. Still here, still listening. It's somewhere past midnight. The generator's humming low again. I think it's on its last stretch. The exhaust smells sweeter than usual, which probably means the fuel's burning dirty. I'll clean the filter again in the morning, if it makes it till then. Maya's downstairs now. She couldn't sleep. Eli finally passed out around 10, but he kept coughing. Nothing sharp or wet, just a dry, wheezy sound, like he's been breathing paper dust. She's worried it's the mold. I told her we'd move him higher, closer to the vents, get more air moving. But she just shook her head and said, "There's no clean air anymore." And I didn't argue with her, because she's right. I opened the stairwell door earlier to check the lower floor, just to see if the flooding had receded. It hadn't. If anything, it's deeper. The old carpeting has gone soft, and the water's gone dark. You can smell it now. Like rot and something chemical. I don't go down there without gloves anymore. And even then, I feel like I'm touching something I'm not supposed to. There's a smell that keeps creeping into the air vents too. Like copper and mildew. Like something's old and leaking through the walls. I can't tell if it's the pipes or the storm itself. I don't know if I ever told you. This station used to be a library before the funding dried up. That was back in the 90s. The city gutted it, kept the bones, and turned it into a community space. Now it's mine. At least it feels that way. All the old wiring, the creaky vents, the forgotten stairwells. I know them better than I know most people. And lately, it's been feeling like the building is getting tired. Like it's leaning in under the weight of all this water and waiting to let go. But not yet. Not tonight. Tonight, we're still here. I got something strange through the shortwave tonight. Not a voice. Not a message. It was music. Just a low, pulsing tone. 2 notes, then a pause, then 2 more, over and over. Played on some kind of analog synth, maybe? Or a looped tape machine. I don't know. It didn't feel accidental. I listened to it for almost an hour. Tried tuning away. But the pattern followed me. Like it was moving up and down the bands, always staying just close enough to pull me back. Eventually, I turned it off. It's still in my head. If anyone else heard it, if you caught that signal, let me know. Maybe it's nothing. But the repetition felt off, not mechanical, not digital, like someone wanted it to be heard. I wonder if that's how the storm started. A message we didn't understand. Got a handwritten letter today, too. Wrapped in a sandwich bag and taped to the fire exit. It read, "You are not alone. They want us quiet, but I can still hear you." There was no signature, just a child's drawing on the back. A house, a person, and a sky full of black lines. It gave me chills. Not because it was creepy, because it felt true. We're not meant to be quiet, not like this. We're a species built to shout, to sing, to argue, to whisper in the dark. We're not made for silence. And yet that's what this storm is doing. Stretching silence out over everything, like a wet blanket smothering the last coals in a dying fire. But we still have this signal, this thread, this wire stretched from me to you. So I'll keep pulling on it. I want to tell you about someone I haven't talked about yet. Her name was Kara. She used to work at the coffee shop down on Elm. Before the storm, before everything. She had this nervous energy, always biting her thumbnail or tapping her foot while she made lattes. But she was sharp. Not just smart, sharp. She noticed things, remembered people's orders, faces, routines. Not because she had to, because she paid attention. One night, maybe a week before the rain started, I saw her standing outside after closing, just leaning against the wall, staring at the clouds. I asked her if she was all right. She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Something's coming." I laughed, said something dumb about feeling it in the air. But she didn't laugh. She just kept looking up. I haven't seen her since the second day of the flood. If you're out there, Kara, if you made it, I'm still here, still listening. There's another note I need to share. This one's from a man named Philip near Prairie du Chien. He said they've been using road flares and pocket mirrors to signal to other groups across the river. Says it works on clear mornings when the clouds thin just enough to catch light. They flash messages in Morse code using mirror glints like old heliographs. Said it's slow, but it works. That's genius. That's human. We're not dead. We're just adapting. It's getting colder, though. The rain is still warm, but the wind isn't. I don't understand how that works. The temperature keeps dropping, but the rain stayed the same, like bathwater pouring from a broken ceiling. And there's this fog now. Not mist. Fog. Heavy. Slow. Like it's crawling through the cracks. I went outside earlier just to check the perimeter and the visibility dropped to 3 feet within 30 seconds. I could hear water dripping from something above me, but I couldn't see it. I walked 5 paces and turned back, and the station was already swallowed. I panicked. I won't lie. I turned in a circle, 3 times, tried to use the sound of the generator as a guide, took a wrong step and nearly fell into the drainage ditch behind the stairwell. I made it back inside, but my heart didn't slow for a full hour. That fog isn't natural. It doesn't roll or drift. It settles, like it's choosing where to be. If it shows up near you, don't follow it. Don't walk into it thinking you'll be able to find your way back. You won't. Wait it out. Let it pass. And if you hear anything inside it, don't answer. I haven't told Maya about that part. Not yet. She's got enough on her mind. We're running low on food again. I've got 3 cans of soup left, a bag of rice that smells like rain, and 3 protein bars I was saving for emergencies. Which I guess this is. I'll eat half of one tonight, just to keep my legs from shaking. But I'll give the rest to her and the kid. They need it more. I've stopped thinking in days now. I think in hours. Power hours, food hours, sleep hours, and between them, I think in voices. Yours, mine, anyone still speaking. So if you're out there, if you've got a working radio, a battery, a whisper, send it. Even if it's nonsense, even if all you do is scream, it matters. Because sound is the only thing the storm hasn't swallowed yet. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM. Still here, still real, still alive. It's 4:42 in the morning, and the rain sounds different. It's coming down softer now, not less, just different. Less like water from the sky, more like a wet blanket being dragged across concrete. Everything's saturated, drowned beyond repair, and now it's just lingering. That word keeps coming to me. Lingering. Like the storm isn't fighting anymore. It's just sitting here with us, settling in, waiting, like it's decided this is home now, and all we can do is learn how to live in its presence. It doesn't need to roar anymore. It doesn't need the thunder or the wind slamming against rooftops. It has patience, the kind of patience that only something old could have. I've been sitting with the mic on, not saying anything for over half an hour, just listening to the static, to the creaking in the walls, to the occasional sound of Eli coughing in the other room. I think Maya finally fell asleep sitting upright. I can see her through the door, curled into herself, like someone trying not to be seen by the world. Her arms wrapped around her stomach, like she's afraid even her own body might betray her. I want to wake her, tell her it's okay. But that would be a lie. Nothing is okay. Not anymore. And the best thing I can do, the only thing I can offer her now, is a little more time to forget where she is. This building smells like wet copper and wet plaster and wet wood and wet everything. You stop noticing it after a while, but then it hits you in waves, and you remember how much decay has crept into the walls. It's not just water damage. It's something deeper, the kind of rot that feels personal. Like the structure isn't just falling apart, it's grieving. It's tired of standing. This station was never built for this kind of weight. No structure was. Brick or steel, old or new, nothing is designed to bear the pressure of endless saturation. You can hear it when you move, the way the floorboards bow under each step, like they're apologizing for still existing. Every room echoes differently now. Every footstep sounds too sharp or too soft. Nothing is right anymore. I found mold growing on one of the microphone cables. That freaked me out more than anything else today. Moldavian. On a wire. I don't know how long it's been there, but the fact that it's growing in places where electricity runs, that tells me the line between wet and dry is gone. The storm doesn't care about boundaries. It's in the air. It's in the circuits. It's inside everything. Earlier this evening, just after sunset, if you can even call it that, since the sky never really brightened, I went up to the roof access. I hadn't checked the antenna in a few days and thought maybe I'd reposition it. Maybe I'd catch a cleaner signal from the east. I took the flashlight, a roll of duct tape, and one of those metal poles we used to hang banners from. It was hard getting the door open. So much water pressure from the outside, like the air itself was pressing against it. I had to throw my shoulder into it. When I got up there, I couldn't see more than a few feet in any direction. The fog was so thick, I almost dropped the flashlight trying to find the edge of the ledge. I stood there for a long time, just listening. No wind, no thunder. Just that strange silence you only get after too much noise, like the world is holding its breath. Then I heard something. A long, low rumble, not thunder, not even close. It was mechanical, I think. Distant, like something heavy rolling slowly across metal far away. It didn't move, didn't fade. It just sat there in the air, humming through my chest, like it had always been there and I was just now noticing it. I backed down the stairs after that. Didn't even check the antenna. I couldn't. My hands were shaking. Not from fear, not exactly. From something deeper. A kind of recognition. Like part of me knew that sound, knew what it meant. But the conscious part of me hasn't caught up yet. There are things happening out there that we weren't meant to witness, that we weren't supposed to survive long enough to even talk about. But here I am, still breathing, still talking. and I don't know if that's a miracle or a mistake. Maya and I talked for a while earlier, when Eli was still awake. We sat on the floor with a small lantern between us and played with him. Just simple things. Clapping games. Whispered stories. At one point, Maya reached into her jacket and pulled out a photo. Crumpled, water-damaged, but still visible. It was of a woman. Long dark hair, half smile, arms around Maya in what looked like a train station. I asked who she was. Maya said, "That's my sister." She said her sister worked in shipping logistics, traveled a lot, was in Vancouver when the storm started. No one's heard from her since. Maya's been carrying that photo in her jacket since day 2. Not because she thought she'd find her, not even because it gave her hope. She said she just wanted someone else to know that she existed. Even if the picture rots, she told me, someone will remember her face. That's why I keep this signal going. It's not for news, not anymore. It's not even for guidance. It's for remembering, for memory. I think that's what the storm is eating. More than power, more than cities. It's trying to erase memory, to wash us away from each other, from ourselves, but not here, not yet, not on this frequency. If you're listening, and I know someone is, I want you to remember this. Your story matters. Your voice matters. Even if all you've done today is survive, that's enough. You've held off the erasure one more day. That means something. That's a kind of victory. All right, I'm going to try to catch an hour of sleep. Maya's keeping first watch. The door's reinforced with a metal rod from the storage closet. I don't know what I'm expecting to come through it. Not looters, not animals, just something else. The kind of thing you feel staring through the fog when you can't even see your own feet. I'll keep the transmitter hot as long as the fuel holds out. We've got maybe 2 more days of diesel left. After that, I'll try the bike rig again. See if I can get enough voltage to pulse a basic signal. I don't care if I have to pedal through mud and darkness and rot. This voice will not go out. We're still here. I'm still here. Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM, Merrow Falls, Wisconsin. Alive. The rain woke me again. I don't know how long I was out. 20 minutes? An hour? It doesn't matter. It never matters anymore. Sleep feels like dipping in and out of someone else's dream. Shallow, uneasy, fragile as wet paper. There's no deep rest here. Just these flickers of time where your eyes close and you forget, for a few seconds, that the world has collapsed. And then the storm pulls you back. A new noise. A gust of wind. A coughing child. A silence that lasts 1 second too long. It was the silence that did it this time. You wouldn't think silence could wake you, but it can. Especially when it's all wrong. I was dreaming, I think, of walking through a mall. One of those half-abandoned ones from before all this. I could hear my own footsteps echoing off the tile. And then I realized I couldn't hear the rain. That was what snapped me back. The lack of it. My eyes opened before I could stop them. I stared at the ceiling, and for the first time in days, it was quiet. No drumming on the rooftop, no slick hiss against the glass. Just this awful thick stillness. It lasted maybe 5 minutes. No more. I counted. And then the rain came back. Harder. Heavier. It was like the storm had gone under for a breath and then returned angry. The windows rattled. The eastern wall trembled. And I swear to God, I heard something howl. Not an animal, not the wind. something low and wide and ancient, like the land itself was hurting. I checked on Maya and Eli. They were both awake. Eli was clutching his blanket so tight his fingers had gone pale. Maya didn't speak. She just stared at the ceiling, lips moving. Maybe a prayer, maybe counting, maybe both. I sat with them until the worst of it passed, gave Eli the last of my water stash. He didn't drink much, just held it like it was treasure. I don't think he understands what's happening, but he understands enough. The way kids do. They don't need full explanations. They feel it in the air, in the tension of our shoulders, in the absence of laughter. That's all the explanation they need. Earlier today, before the storm's pause, I tried to reach the Western Relay again, the one Caleb told me about. Still no response. Nothing but the same pulsing static, like something's trying to speak but can't find the words. I recorded 10 minutes of it, played it back twice. There's a rhythm to it. 3 long pulses, 2 short, 1 long. It loops every 90 seconds. It's too structured to be random. I think someone's trying to reach us, and I think they're stuck. Not physically, digitally, like they're caught in the net, buried under too much signal loss, unable to break through. I'm going to keep trying to answer them. Maybe I'll start broadcasting code back, old patterns, long-range Morse. If they're still alive, they'll hear it. If they're still human, they'll answer. This place, this building, it's beginning to groan in ways I don't like. The north wall has started bowing inward, just slightly. You wouldn't notice it unless you were here every day like I am. But I see it. The water has pushed so far into the foundation that the whole back half of the station is sinking. Slowly. I can feel it in my feet now. A tilt to the floor that wasn't there last week. Like everything is leaning away from something. I don't have anywhere else to go. This is still the highest building in this quadrant of the town. Every other rooftop is compromised, collapsed, or underwater. If this place goes, I'll have to move to the water tower. There's a ladder up the side, and a small platform at the top. It's not ideal. It's not even shelter, but it's elevation, it's signal, and it's hope. I think a lot about the people who used to live here, the ones who left before the bridges fell. Where did they go? Are they somewhere dry? Did they make it to higher ground? Or did they just vanish into the blur like so many others? I got a letter today. I almost missed it. It was folded and wrapped in plastic, wedged into the crack between the front door and the frame. No name. Just 4 words. Tell them I tried. That's it. That's all it said. I held it in my hand for a long time, wondering who wrote it, wondering what they meant. Did they try to help? To escape? To find someone? Or was that all they had left? To let someone know that they didn't give up? It broke something in me. Because that's what I'm afraid of. Not dying. Not starving. Not drowning. I'm afraid of disappearing without explanation, without story, without proof, of being one more name lost in the flood. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for Maya, or Eli, or you. So let this be the proof. I tried. I built a tower of words in a drowning world. And maybe, just maybe, someone will find it. I've been keeping a running list of what we have left. It's not much, but it helps to say it out loud. Makes it real. So here it is. 2 cans of soup. Half a bag of rice. 3 working batteries. 1 crank lantern. 1 folding knife. 2 blankets. 7 feet of duct tape, 1 soaked book of poetry, and a generator with maybe 10 hours left of fuel. That's it. That's our kingdom. But I also have this microphone, and I have my voice. And as long as that lasts, I am not nothing. Neither are you. I'm going to try sleeping again soon, just for a little while. The air is heavy in here, like it's holding me down. But my eyes won't stop stinging, and my chest won't stop hurting. Not from sickness, from silence. If you're out there, if you're awake, say your name. Even if no one hears it, say it anyway. Say it to the walls. Say it to the storm. Say it because that's what it means to be here. This is Griffin Shaw, still here, still trying. The rain started again about 2 hours ago. Not that it had ever really stopped, but this time it came back harder. The kind of rain that doesn't feel like droplets anymore. It's just mass. Weight. Something falling on the world with purpose, not just gravity. I stood by the window and watched it for a while. The way you might stare into a fireplace when you're trying to forget everything else. Except, this isn't fire. It doesn't warm you. It doesn't light the room. It just makes the dark wetter. I haven't eaten since yesterday morning. My stomach doesn't even growl anymore. It just sort of tightens, like it's reminding me it still exists. I've been rationing the last can of soup. Not because I think there's help coming, but because I don't know how to prepare for the absence of it. The hunger's not the hard part. It's the way you start to feel like your body is separating from you. Like it's becoming its own thing. A shell you're operating from the inside, waiting for the outside world to catch up. Or end. Maya tried to get the water filter working again. She rigged together a bucket, an old charcoal bag, some fabric, and 2 plastic bottles she found in the supply closet. It worked. Kind of. The filtered rainwater still smells faintly like metal, but it's better than nothing. She says she used to volunteer with a wilderness survival group in college, back before she had Eli. Back when the world still pretended everything would get easier if you followed the right steps. Finish school, find work, save money, stay dry, stay good. But no amount of planning prepared any of us for this storm, this soaking, stretching silence that's slowly eating the corners of the world. She asked me today if I believed this was the end, not in a religious way, just in a real one. Like this was it. No rebuilding, no rescue. Just the slow fade of voices until all you can hear is wind and water and memory. I told her the truth. I said I didn't know. And that's the most honest thing I've said in days. Because some part of me still believes we'll crawl out of this, muddy and half broken, but breathing. Another part of me thinks maybe this is the crawl out. Maybe the world before this was the real disaster, and now we're just seeing what happens when it finally stops pretending to function. I got another broadcast today, just after sundown. I don't know where it came from, maybe somewhere east. The voice was rough, broken, like they were speaking through a cloth or under a blanket. The signal was full of feedback, but I caught enough. They said their group had sealed themselves inside a courthouse. 2nd floor. Said the lower levels were flooded, the streets full of shattered glass and bloated debris. But they'd managed to hold out by wiring solar panels to the rooftop sign and pulling whatever charge they could from the cloud cover. They said the lights only came on for 5 minutes a day, but it was enough to boil water and power a radio. They asked if there was anyone else. Anyone they could talk to. Anyone who remembered music. Then they coughed, long and low, and the signal vanished. I tried calling back. Spent 2 hours rotating frequencies. Nothing. That's how it always is now. You get a whisper, a glimpse, and then it's gone. Still, it meant something. That someone's voice could make it through all this, through the fog and rain and rusting airwaves, that someone still cared enough to speak. That matters more than anything. I've been thinking about fire, not just warmth, actual fire, controlled, tended. The kind that doesn't consume a house or a town but lives in the center of a room and gives shape to the dark. I remember bonfires from when I was a kid, sitting in the woods behind my uncle's farm, wrapped in blankets, passing around sticks with marshmallows that always caught fire and turned black too fast. The way the smoke got in your eyes, the way the heat would hit your face while the wind chilled your back. Fire felt honest. It gave. It demanded. It spoke in cracks and pops and dancing shadows. I miss that. We're soaked now. Too soaked for fire. Even the matches I kept wrapped in plastic are beginning to curl. But I still think about it. Still dream about that heat. I think what I miss most is the sound of normal things. A car door slamming. A microwave beeping. Dogs barking in the distance. The clink of dishes in a sink. All those tiny background noises that make up the score of an ordinary life. Those are gone now. Replaced with water. Just water. Endless, grinding water. It isn't natural anymore. It's a personality, a presence. It presses in through walls, through pores, through memory. I said it before, and I'll say it again now. This storm doesn't feel like weather. It feels like something watching. There are patterns to the thunder, if you listen long enough. I don't mean metaphors. I mean actual patterns. Repetitions. Timings. Sometimes it's 2 short bursts, 1 long. Sometimes it's a deep roll that lasts for 20 seconds, and then silence. It doesn't behave like it should. Thunder isn't supposed to loop, but it does here. It loops, like a message, or a ritual, or a warning. I think the storm is trying to teach us something, or maybe it's testing to see if we're still paying attention. I don't know what the lesson is. I just know I'm still listening. Maya asked me for a book today, something to read to Eli. I gave her a half-melted copy of an old almanac. The pages are stuck together and the print is smudged, but she didn't mind. She just smiled, uncurled a few of the drier pages, and started reading in a whisper. Eli doesn't know what an almanac is. Doesn't matter. He listened anyway, eyes wide, hands tucked under his chin, like the sound of her voice was enough to keep the ceiling from falling in. And maybe it is. Maybe that's all this is now. A world held up by whispered stories and shared names. I want to believe we'll rebuild. That there'll be a day when we look back on this and call it the long rain, or the drowned season, or whatever name makes it feel survivable. But tonight, all I have is this voice, this microphone, this wet room, and this old signal, and this body that hasn't felt dry in weeks. And I still believe that's enough. Because we're still speaking. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM. Not finished yet. It's still raining. I don't even know how else to start these broadcasts anymore. It's always the same. It's still raining. As if that phrase alone could capture what this has become. It's not just weather. It's the background noise of our lives now. The texture of existence. It's not water falling from the sky. It's the sky collapsing in slow motion. We've stopped asking when it will end. That question doesn't come up in conversation anymore. Not between Maya and me. Not between the occasional signal that manages to crawl through the fog. Not even in our thoughts. Because it's too painful. Too useless. The rain isn't a visitor. It's the new atmosphere. And somewhere deep down, we've all started adjusting to the idea that it might never go away. I spent most of today patching leaks. I ran out of towels days ago. The last of the clean shirts are taped along the bottom of the southern window, trying to slow the drip. My hands are stained with old adhesive and fraying threads. I tried wrapping plastic around the top edge of the closet door, but the rain has found its way through the hinges now. I can hear it ticking down the metal in slow, rhythmic taps. It's maddening, but it's also familiar. A steady beat in a world where everything else has fallen out of sync. Eli hasn't said a word all day. He just sits near the lantern, staring at the flame like it's a screen from the old world. Maya hums to him sometimes, quiet, almost tuneless, just something to fill the air. I asked her what she was humming once, and she said, "I don't remember. I think it used to be a lullaby, or maybe just something I made up when he was a baby." She smiled like she was embarrassed, but I wasn't judging. I wanted to tell her that sound is medicine now, that every voice we still have is a kind of antidote to what's eating the world. But I didn't say that. I just sat nearby and listened. Earlier, I opened the frequency on the emergency band. I've been doing that every 6 hours, just in case someone new is scanning. You never know who might be out there, twisting dials in the dark, hoping for a voice. And today, someone answered. The voice was faint, clipped, echoing like they were broadcasting from inside a cave. They gave a name, Claire, and a location I couldn't make out. Something Ridge. Could have been Stone Ridge, Maple Ridge, Oak Ridge. There are too many. But the important part wasn't the name. It was the sound of someone smiling. You could hear it in her voice. That slight warmth, like she wasn't just surviving. She was resisting. She said they had 20 people in a multi-story parking garage. Top levels only. The bottom ones had flooded early, but the upper levels stayed dry, and the concrete held. They had tarps for walls and car batteries for power. She said they cook food on broken tailpipes and collect water with cracked hubcaps. She laughed when she said that. And I laughed too, because it was absurd. And human. She said they had a rule in the garage. No one eats alone. Doesn't matter if all you have is a handful of crackers or a spoonful of canned beans. You sit with someone. You talk. You look them in the eye. You witness each other. That's something we forgot how to do before all this. Back when the world was running at full speed, we forgot to sit down and share space. Now it's all we have. Now it's sacred. I told her about the radio tower we've been trying to repair, and she offered advice. Said if I could find copper wire, even just a few feet, I could spool it into a spiral and amplify the signal. I thanked her, and she said, "Don't thank me. Just stay on the line." That's become my mantra now. Stay on the line. Not because help is coming, but because being heard matters. Even if the world outside is eroding. Even if the governments have fallen silent. Even if satellites stopped tracking our movement weeks ago. Even if no one's keeping score anymore. It matters that we're still here. That we're not just fading into the static. Sometimes I wonder how far this signal actually goes. I don't have the old metrics anymore. Can't check the strength or bounce rate. Can't confirm which towers are down or which bands are still active. But I know someone's listening. Because every time I almost give up, every time a voice comes through, a crackle of sound, a letter, a knock at the door, The world answers just enough to keep me going. That's how it's been for Maya, too. She told me last night, quietly, after Eli finally fell asleep, that she'd been ready to walk into the rain and not come back. That first week, before she found the station, she'd lost her shoes in the mud. Her knees were scraped. Her fingers were numb. She said she sat down in an abandoned bus and just listened to the rain on the roof for hours. Said she didn't cry, didn't pray, just sat there. Then she saw something. A trail of small rocks, carefully arranged across the floor of the bus. Not random. Placed. Like someone had been there before her. Like someone had left a message in shape and silence. She said it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. Just those stones, laid in a spiral, leading to the back exit. And something in her clicked. She stood up and kept moving. And now she's here. I keep thinking about that. About how survival isn't always some heroic act. Sometimes it's just noticing something. A pattern. A sound. A reason to keep walking. We don't talk about hope much anymore. The word feels too shiny, too heavy. But we do talk about reasons. Little ones. Shared meals. A working flashlight. A dry corner. A child's breath slowing into sleep. A stranger's voice through the static. Those are our reasons, and for now, they're enough. I'm going to try and write out some of the storm's rhythm patterns tonight. Not scientific, not precise, just my own logs. The way the thunder falls, the timing of the winds. If anyone else is doing the same, maybe we can start sharing them. Maybe eventually, someone will map it, understand it, speak its language. I don't think the storm is chaos. I think it's repetition. And repetition can be read, like a pulse, like a code. Until then, keep listening. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM, still breathing, still on the line. I've started hearing things in the walls, not animals, not bugs, something else. Like air trying to move through material it doesn't belong in. It's not just creaking, not just the flexing of old wood or waterlogged plaster. It's breathing, or the memory of breathing. That's the only way I can describe it. The building sighs now, at night, when I'm half asleep and too weak to sit up fast. It exhales, long and low and careful, like it's trying not to wake me. Like it's sorry for still standing. Maybe that's me projecting. Maybe it's just the wind, or my own lungs echoing in my head, folded into the hum of the generator and the drip of the ceiling. But whatever it is, it makes me feel less alone and more haunted at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't really care. Nothing makes sense anymore. Not the temperature. Not the silence. Not the fact that this storm keeps going without breaking, like it's fueled by something deeper than clouds and pressure. I haven't seen the sky in 16 days. Not once. No stars. No moon. No blue. Just this endless sheet of dark, like wet cement smeared across the heavens. I don't remember the shape of the sun. I don't remember what it feels like to squint from brightness. I don't remember color that isn't gray or brown or rust. Even Maya's face looks drained sometimes, like the rains leached the color out of her, like we're all becoming versions of the same soaked painting. I tried singing this morning. Don't ask me why. I just needed to. One of those old songs I used to hum in traffic when nothing on the radio hit right. A line or two came back, broken and slurred, and I followed them until my voice cracked. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel brave. It felt fragile, like dragging a match through a flooded room. I stopped before the end, not because I couldn't finish, but because I didn't want to find out if I could. Some things are better left in pieces. At least then you know they used to be whole. Maya says the storm has a memory. That's how she put it. We were sitting by the crate stove, trying to boil another half-gallon of rainwater, and she looked out the window like she was staring at something only she could see. She said, "It's not a weather system. It's an archive." I asked her what that meant, and she said, "It remembers everything it touches. Every rooftop, every footprint, every voice, and it doesn't let go." I didn't argue. I don't know how to anymore. Theories used to matter. Back when we thought there'd be press conferences and reports and weather balloons and solutions. Now it's just intuition and shared dreams. And sometimes I think she sees more than I do. She told me about a man she saw out in the open, days before she found the station. He was walking straight through the flooded street, soaked head to toe, arms loose at his sides, but not flailing, not struggling, just moving forward, like he didn't even feel the water, like he was somewhere else entirely. She said she called out to him, but he didn't respond, didn't even flinch. And when he passed beneath the broken overhang of an old diner sign, he stopped for a second, just long enough for her to think he might turn, might say something. But he didn't. He kept walking, into the fog, until he was gone. She didn't follow him, said she didn't have the nerve, and I'm glad she didn't, because I don't think he would have stopped. I don't think anything would have stopped him. We've heard stories like that from other signals. People who walk through the storm like they've been claimed by it. Not mindless, not dead, just turned, disconnected from the rhythm of the rest of us. You can spot them if you know what to look for. They never blink. They don't shelter from the wind. They don't flinch when thunder cracks right overhead, and their clothes never seem to tear, no matter how bad the weather gets. I don't know what they are, if they're still human, if they're just survivors who lost too much, if they're following some sound we can't hear, but they're out there, and the rain doesn't seem to mind them. You start to believe strange things when the old world falls away. I used to scoff at all the myths people shared online, conspiracies, ghost stories, talk of electromagnetic anomalies and buried satellites and weather modification. Now, I'd take any of it. I'd believe any of it if it came with a plan. But this storm doesn't explain itself. It doesn't declare its goals. It just remains. And maybe that's the most terrifying thing of all. I haven't told you about the basement. I've avoided it. Not just in conversation, physically. The stairs are there. The door is there. It's always been just 10 feet away from the main hall. But I don't go down. Not anymore. The first few days after the storm started, I used it for supplies, canned goods, batteries, old station materials. It was damp, but manageable. Then the water came up. Just an inch or two, then a foot, then more. I kept thinking it would drain, that it would find a path back into the ground, but it didn't. And now, when I stand by the top of the steps and shine my flashlight down, I can see the water just resting there, perfectly still, like glass. No ripples, no movement, just black. And it smells wrong. Not just musty, not sewage, something colder, like standing over a hole in the world. Sometimes, late at night, I think I hear things from down there. Not voices, just little pops of air, or scratching. But I won't go down again. Whatever's under the water now, it doesn't want company. And I'm too tired to offer mine. I'm going to end this broadcast soon. Not because I want to, just because the fuel is low again. We're rationing everything now, even light, even time. But before I go, I want to say this. If you're out there, and I know at least one of you is, write something. Anything. Your name, your town, your favorite memory before all this. Write it on a wall, on a napkin, in the dirt. If you have to scream it into a tin can and bury it, do it. Because someday, someone might find it, and they'll know we were here, that we lived through the drowning, that we mattered. This storm can take our roads, and our towers, and our books, but it cannot take our voices, not if we keep using them. So use yours. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM, somewhere in what used to be Wisconsin. Still here, still watching the walls breathe. I've stopped trying to sleep in the dark. It used to feel natural, letting the lantern burn out before crawling under the blankets, saving batteries, conserving fuel, letting night fall where it may. But not anymore. Not after last night. The dark doesn't behave the way it used to. It used to be a space, a time, a shift in the rhythm of the day. Now it's a thing, a presence. It fills the corners of the room and waits. It listens when we speak. I don't know how else to describe it. I've tried explaining it to Maya, but I can see the look in her eyes when I talk like that. Like I'm not just tired, I'm losing it. But I know what I saw. I woke up at 2:17 a.m. I remember the time because the lantern had just flickered out, and I could still read the clock's glowing hands before they faded. The silence was complete. No water dripping, no generator hum, just the absence. The heavy, thick, suffocating silence that only comes in the hours after the storm forgets how to pretend it's weather. And in that silence, I heard something move. Not footsteps, not voices, something slow, deliberate. The creak of old wood bending, not from weight, but from proximity. I didn't sit up. I didn't even breathe. I just lay there, eyes open, heart crawling up my throat, and waited. And then I saw it. A figure. Not a shadow. Not a trick of the light. A figure. Standing at the threshold of the hallway, where the broken blinds hang like wet flags. No features. No sound. Just the shape. Watching. I blinked, and it didn't vanish. I moved my hand, slow, toward the flashlight beside my bedroll. It didn't react. I flicked it on, and the beam hit the wall. Nothing there, but the wet footprints stayed. 6 of them, leading from the hallway, spaced evenly, human-sized, but wrong. Too narrow at the toe, too long at the heel, and when I reached out to touch them, the floor was dry. I haven't told Maya. I probably won't. We need our fictions now. The ones where the world still obeys basic rules, where people don't vanish from stairwells and radio signals, don't loop the same phrase for 4 straight hours with no explanation, where footprints in dry wood aren't left by things that never breathed. I'll keep the lantern on from now on. Let the batteries die if they have to. I'd rather go blind from light than silence. This morning, I finally opened the old locker near the broadcast table. I'd been ignoring it for days. Something about the rusted hinge made me think whatever was inside wouldn't help. But I was wrong. Inside was a metal lockbox, military green, marked with faded letters. I pried it open, and inside, maps. Dozens of them. Not paper, laminated, waterproof. Detailed topographic grids of the surrounding counties, elevation lines, old FEMA routes, evacuation corridors, some marked with highlighter, notes scribbled in permanent marker. Route compromised. Substation lost. Safe above 112 meters. Whoever left these knew something, or maybe they tried to. I spent 2 hours laying them out, cross-referencing against what I remember. Some of the notes match the stories we've been hearing. The river towns, gone. The power grid choke points, overloaded. But there was one marking that caught my eye. It was on a ridge northwest of here. Not a town, not even a farm, just a hilltop. And next to it, someone had written 2 words, holding station. No frequency, no names, just that. I don't know what that means. I don't know who wrote it. But it gives me something. A point on the map. A maybe. And in times like these, a maybe is more valuable than any certainty. If you're listening and you're near the Black Ridge foothills, check it. See if there's a signal, a flare, a voice, anything. If you are the holding station, we're here. We're still breathing, still burning lanterns in the dark. I've started writing letters I'll never send. I keep them folded in a tin near the radio. Letters to my brother, my parents, friends from college whose numbers I couldn't remember after the towers went down. I don't write anything profound, just memories, dumb stuff, stupid moments. One of them is just about a time I slipped on a wet subway platform and spilled an entire cup of hot coffee down my jeans. I laughed about it for an hour. The guy next to me offered me his scarf. I never saw him again. That memory has no purpose. But it exists, and so do I. And as long as those letters stay dry, I stay real. We're made of stories, and without them, we go hollow. That's what the storm wants, I think. To hollow us out. Make us forget the feel of laughter, the taste of real silence, the kind that comes with peace, not dread. The names of people we haven't spoken to in years but still carry in the back pocket of our minds. So don't forget. Not just your name, theirs too. Speak them. If you have to whisper them into your sleeve or write them on a wall, do it. There's a kind of prayer in remembering, a way of pushing back against the erasure. I'll be back on the air after nightfall, assuming the battery bank holds out. I've rerouted some power from the hand crank line. It's inefficient, but it'll keep the relay hot long enough for another cycle. If you've been listening, thank you. If you haven't responded, that's okay. If you've already left this world behind and you're just a sound drifting through a broken radio, thank you for staying long enough to reach me. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM, no sleep, no light, but still speaking. I don't know what day it is. I think that's the first time I've said that out loud. I've been dancing around it, pretending the calendar still means something, pretending I'm just a little behind on counting, that the water smearing the ink and the light bulb flickering over the clock face didn't steal the numbers from me. But today, I had to admit it to myself. I sat here, hands on the desk, staring at the pages I taped up on the wall, the ones I swore I'd use to mark the passing of each day, and I realized I hadn't scratched anything new on them in 4, 5 days, maybe longer. So I just stood there and whispered, I don't know what day it is. And the room didn't argue. The storm has eaten time, eroded the idea of before and after, until there's just this gray, this wet, this heavy ache behind the eyes. The clocks still tick, but they've stopped meaning anything. What's the difference between noon and midnight when the sky doesn't change? When every sound you hear is the same, soft, drenching, constant? You start to wonder if time's even moving at all, or if we're stuck here, suspended in some swollen pocket of reality where nothing ends and nothing begins. Maya's taken to sleeping in intervals now, 90 minutes at a time. She doesn't set an alarm. She just knows. Her body jolts her awake like it's afraid of missing something. I don't ask what. I just hand her the water bottle, nod, and let her take my spot by the heat lamp. We don't say much these days. We're past language most of the time. Everything's gestures now, looks, the small way we move a blanket closer or share the last of a granola bar without speaking. I caught her crying once. Last night. I didn't interrupt. She thought I was asleep. She pressed her face against the wall, turned away from the room, and let it out in these short, shivering sobs. Not loud, not dramatic, just this quiet fracture in her breathing. I wanted to say something, but there was nothing useful. Nothing she didn't already know. So I stayed where I was, let her grieve whatever she needed to. And I stared at the ceiling, counting the drops of water pooling in the insulation above my head, wondering how long it would be before the rain came through again. The walls are changing. I know I've said that before, but it's worse now. They're bowing. They pulse when the wind picks up. Not visibly, at least not yet, but you can feel it, like the whole structure is exhaling just behind the drywall, and the mold spread too. It's in the outlets now. I pulled one of the faceplates off and found a thin green fuzz lining the inside like velvet. It looked alive, more alive than I've felt lately. The power banks are almost empty. The crank rig works, but it barely gives me 10 minutes of signal per hour of turning. My shoulders are shot, my wrists ache, but I keep doing it. Because silence is worse. Because if I stop speaking, the storm wins. It folds another voice into the static and keeps on swallowing. I got a fragment of a broadcast this morning. Shortwave. Someone with a thick southern drawl, coughing between every phrase. He said, "Still got folks at the silo." That's all I caught. The rest was swallowed in feedback, the kind that doesn't sound like malfunction, but interference, like something else was trying to speak over him. I tried calling back. No answer. Just the hum. I wrote it down anyway. Still got folks at the silo. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's a place. Maybe it's a warning. I don't care. I wrote it down. Because it means someone else is out there. Not just breathing. Talking. And that's something this storm can't stand. Voices. It drowns everything else, but it can't kill language. So we speak. Even if it's nonsense. Even if it's memory. Even if it's just noise pushed through a dying antenna. We speak. Today, I remembered my grandfather's watch. One of those heavy silver ones with the chain and the hinged cover. He used to wind it every morning at the exact same time, with this little grunt of satisfaction when it clicked into place. Said it kept him grounded. Said the world could go to hell, but as long as the watch ticked, he was still inside it. I don't know where that watch is now. Probably buried in some drawer in a house that no longer exists. But I remembered how it felt in my hand. The weight of it. The soft ticking sound when you held it against your ear. I closed my eyes and listened for it today. Just sat in silence, waiting for that imagined click. I didn't hear it, but I remembered how I used to. That counts for something. Maya found a box of crayons in a sealed cabinet behind the old reception desk. Eli's been drawing with them on the back of soup labels and flattened cardboard boxes. His drawings aren't what you'd expect. No sunshine, no stick figures smiling in front of a house. Just loops, circles, swirls, over and over again, different sizes, Some tight, some huge, overlapping like storm systems. Maya asked him what they were, and he said, "The loud sky." And she didn't ask again. The loud sky. That's exactly what this is, isn't it? A sky that refuses to be ignored, that presses in through the roof and walls and memory until it's all you can hear. I've begun writing notes on scraps of paper and taping them around the station. Little affirmations, warnings, reminders. One says, "You're still here." Another says, "The silence lies." A third just says, "Drink something." I'm not sure who they're for anymore. Me. Maya. Maybe someone who comes through here after we're gone. Maybe they'll find this place gutted and silent and soaked to the foundation, and they'll read those words and feel less alone for a moment. That's all we really want, isn't it? To not be alone in the end. To be remembered by someone, even if it's a stranger. I don't know how long the generator will last tonight. I'm running it on fumes and grit, but I'll keep it going as long as it takes to finish this message. So if you're listening, if you're out there somewhere beneath this endless bruised sky, trying to keep your own walls from folding in, know this. You are not the last voice. You are not forgotten. You are not the silence. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM. Still breathing, still speaking, still drawing circles in the dark. Something moved past the window last night. I didn't see it directly, just the shadow, long and slow, stretching over the curtains like a stain. I was in the middle of logging another set of storm intervals, head down, pen scratching across damp paper, and then everything just stopped. The rain didn't stop falling. The building didn't stop creaking. But I stopped. Breath, thought, everything. My body locked up in that animal way, the kind of stillness you don't learn. You inherit. The kind that comes from thousands of years of survival, telling you when not to move. And I sat there, frozen. Because whatever passed by wasn't looking for shelter. It wasn't lost. It wasn't begging for help or stumbling through the flood. It was watching. That's what made it worse. The quietness of it. The way its shape didn't lurch or falter or waver. It just moved, like it knew exactly where it was going, like it had passed this building before and would pass it again. I didn't get up, not until the air in the room shifted back to normal. You can feel it when it happens, when that pressure lifts, like a weight being pulled off your lungs, but not all at once, slowly, so you don't notice you've been suffocating. I waited until the lantern started flickering again, and then I finally moved. Just enough to reach over and wrap my hand around the radio dial. Something about the texture of that plastic, the cold of it, the familiarity, it steadied me, pulled me back. We don't talk about those things much on the broadcast. The watchers, the ones who pass through the fog without making ripples. Most people chalk it up to nerves, to sleep deprivation, to stress-induced hallucinations. But we all see them. If you've lasted this long in the rain, you've felt it too. The sense that something out there isn't running from the storm, it's part of it, molded by it, made for it. I don't know what they are. I don't need to. I just know they don't knock, and they don't speak. And I don't want to be outside when they decide they've seen enough. The rain came harder around dawn, sheets of it, like the sky had finally found a new reason to grieve. The stairwell flooded again. The tarp I duct-taped along the doorframe finally gave up, peeling away with a wet snap. I spent an hour bailing it out with an old coffee tin, one scoop at a time, arms burning, breath fogging up the inside of my glasses. And the whole time I kept thinking, not about survival, not about plans or food or fuel. I kept thinking about the word relentless. That's what this storm is. Not violent, not monstrous, relentless. It doesn't rage, it wears. It grinds down every surface, every thought, every fiber of resolve. It doesn't need to destroy quickly. It knows how to wait. And so do I. Maya found a small mirror today, cracked, maybe 4 inches wide. She set it up in the corner of the room, near the window, and I asked why. She said, "So I don't forget what my face looks like." Then she laughed, but not the good kind. The kind of laugh people let out when they've realized something too late. I didn't push, just nodded and handed her a wet rag to clean the glass. It's strange, isn't it? How fast we forget the shape of ourselves when no one else is looking. I used to check my reflection every morning, not out of vanity, just habit. Making sure I looked human, presentable, like someone who still belonged in the world. Now, I haven't really looked in days, maybe weeks. The mirror in the bathroom cracked from the humidity, and there's no natural light anymore. All I've got is this radio glass and the blur of my own shadow stretched across the ceiling. Maya said Eli doesn't recognize his own drawings anymore, that he looks at the ones he made last week and asks who drew them. And I don't know if that's trauma or just time folding in on itself, but either way, it scares her. Scares me too. There's a kind of erosion happening, not just to buildings or roads or signals, but to memory, to identity. And the storm is the tide, washing everything smooth. We found an old Polaroid camera in one of the drawers. No film left. Just the casing. Eli's been walking around with it like it's a toy, pretending to take pictures, clicking the shutter and saying things like, "Gotcha," or "say cheese." And each time, Maya flinches a little, because we both know he's imitating something he doesn't remember, only something he's been told, something that belongs to a world he was almost old enough to understand. We're all ghosts now, trying to haunt the places we used to live in. I got another signal earlier today, weak, garbled, almost lost in the static. A woman's voice. No name, no location, just a sentence. She said, "If the rain stops, don't trust the sky." Then silence. That's it. Just that one line, and then gone. I played it back 20 times. There was no background noise, no beeping, no water sounds, just her voice clear and even. And I believe her, because we've all felt it, haven't we? That waiting, that coiled feeling behind the clouds. Like this storm isn't the end, just the curtain. What's behind it? I don't know, but I don't think we're meant to find out. So we keep broadcasting, keep signaling through the fog, keep reminding each other we're still real, still intact, if only in fragments. Every time I speak into this mic, I imagine the signal stretching out like a tether, a cable running through the sky, tying me to someone I'll never meet, someone crouched beside a car battery and a cracked transceiver, listening with shaking hands. If that's you, if you're there, in the dark, with your ear to the speaker and your breath caught halfway between panic and hope, know this: you are not alone. You are not forgotten. We remember you, even if we've never heard your name. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM, still transmitting, even when no one answers back. It's raining inside now. I don't mean leaks or drips or isolated patches of water sneaking through seams. I mean inside. full droplets, falling, from the ceiling, from nowhere. I stood in the center of the room for 10 straight minutes this morning, hand outstretched, catching it. It wasn't a pipe burst. It wasn't condensation. It was falling like rain. Slow, spaced, deliberate. The roof isn't caved. The seams are sealed. But still, water fell. And I stood there like a fool, soaked in my own shelter, whispering to myself that it wasn't possible, that things still had to follow rules, that gravity still mattered, that buildings were still buildings and inside meant safe. But nothing means what it used to. Not anymore. Maya saw it too. She came down the stairs while I was just standing there with my palm out and the water dripping down my wrist. She didn't say a word, just looked at me, then up at the ceiling, then at Eli, who didn't seem surprised at all, and she said, "It's finding its way in." Like the storm had grown curious, like it was tired of knocking on the walls and had started searching for the hinges. I want to believe this is just water, just nature, just a freak system grinding against the last scraps of our infrastructure. But every day, that belief gets harder to hold. Not because of the science, I can't even pretend to track that anymore, but because of the patterns. The way the wind circles twice before settling. The way the thunder doesn't roll, it counts. I'm not imagining it. I've been logging it for days now. Every boom, every pause, every return. And they repeat, down to the second. Someone, or something, is writing a rhythm into this. And I'm afraid that rhythm has a purpose. I keep thinking about the letter Maya found in the jacket pocket. The one left behind in that car just outside the west edge of town. She found it while scavenging for wire. A small, folded square of paper sealed in a Ziploc, tucked into the breast pocket of a wet coat. She didn't read it until 2 days later, when the lantern held long enough to make out the ink. It said, "They told us it wouldn't reach this far, but it did. We were told the clouds would stall, but they didn't. Now it's just us in the sky. We are not evacuating anymore. We're witnessing. If you find this, remember, the silence is not neutral. It chooses. It always has." That last line has stuck with me. I've written it out 3 times since, each time shakier than the last. The silence is not neutral. We used to think silence was safe, peaceful, a respite from the noise. But this silence? This isn't peace. This is erasure. A slow dissolving of voice and memory. A removal. You want to know what terrifies me most? Not the watchers. Not the collapsing beams. Not even the flood creeping into the stairwell again. What terrifies me is how normal this all feels now. How easy it is to adapt to horror. You forget, after enough time, that life didn't always feel like this. That there were once sounds that weren't warnings. That there was light that didn't burn cold. That there were days, actual days, divided by sunrise and sunsets, not by generator cycles and food rotations. I think we're all suffering from some kind of temporal vertigo. Every hour is the same color. Every corner holds the same weight. It's not just the world that's flooded. It's us. We're soaking in it until we forget what dry even means. The last message I got tonight was from someone calling themselves Northbound 2. No name. Just that. They were whispering into the mic, like they were afraid of being overheard. Said they'd been walking the old freight line that runs east out of Monroe. Said there are encampments out there. Dozens of them. People sleeping under overpasses, clustered around rusted-out train cars, using broken radios like candles, Not talking, not shouting, just listening. Listening for this. They asked me to repeat the names again. So I will. Angela Serrano, Joseph Rames, Caroline Wu, Derek Liu, Gloria Patel, Samantha Triggs, Caleb, Kale, Nadine in Rockford, Claire at the parking garage, Jason the signal tech, the man in Freeport who taught plumbing until the end, Kara from the train station, and now northbound too. And you, if you're hearing this, you're on the list now. Because we remember. Because you exist. Because you haven't gone silent. I don't know how many more nights this building can take. The wall to the east is starting to bulge, and the ceiling tiles are curling like dying leaves. I've moved the radio gear onto a plastic sheet, just in case. Maya keeps saying we need to find somewhere else, somewhere higher. But there isn't anywhere higher. We're already at the top of this town. Everything above us is sky, and that's what's trying to get in. So we'll wait, we'll broadcast, we'll whisper into the water, and hope the static carries something besides goodbye. This is Griffin Shaw, 94.7 FM. If you're out there, draw circles, stack rocks, say names. Remember, we are not the silence. Not yet.